And I think that's what I have with my clients is quality relationships. I care about their brand. I care about the quality that I produce for them. And I want them to be happy and successful at the end of the day. So whatever I need to do so, then that's what I will do and put all of it. I always look at it as like, what if this were yours? What if this were your money? You would want somebody to take care of it with love and respect. Yeah.
How do you stay level-headed with the amount of projects that you have to take on? Hey, voice community. Quick commercial break. Are you running a business and you're looking for a trusted partner to help you brand your business effectively through merch, designs, and branding? I want to introduce you guys to our partners, A+ Branding, a custom printing shop that takes care of all your branding needs. Located in Santa Paula, California, A+ Branding specializes in custom t-shirts, hats, stickers, banners, deco, buildings, or window decals. They do it all. They've helped me a lot personally, ensuring that I am representing my business properly, and I recommend you do too. They have a website that you can design your custom items directly to their online store. You can hop on their site, create your design, and place your order in just a few clicks. Whether you need a single item or a bulk order for your business or event with custom stickers, shirts, or a banner for an event, or even embroidered uniform for your team, they got you covered. On top of that, they'll ship your order straight to your door. You can use the promo code VOICED to get 10% off your first orders over $100 to get started. You can head over to their website at www.aplusbranding.com and start designing today. Now back to the show. What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode here at Voiced Podcast. I'm your host, Charles, and today I'm thrilled to introduce an owner of a premier project management agency. She has a deep experience and has built a reputation around the community with trusted experts, successfully collaborating with A-list celebrities and multi-million-dollar companies. She's also been featured in the LA Style magazine for her standards and excellence in project management. She's also the board of directors vice chair at Industry Leaders Association, and she is the owner and CEO of Nysa, the project management agency. Welcome to the show, Anyssa.
Thank you. Thank you. That was quite an introduction. Thank you so much.
I did a little bit of research. So with this, if you guys tune in, me and Anyssa connected essentially through Collab District, was it?
I think so, yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's where we connected more. We started doing a little bit more work after she saw me. We've connected way back before, but we weren't as connected until recently.
Yes.
So I'm really glad to consider you as part of my friend and connection. I feel like when we chat, we're very, we see each other. Right?
Yes, very like-minded.
Mm-hmm, we know what we're going after. We want to support each other. So I'm very grateful to have you here and also to have you on my podcast.
Thank you. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
So for you guys tuning in, we'll go a little bit into her background about how she came up with Nysa and what role she does with project management, how to become more efficient with it, and how to stay level-headed during projects. If you guys are taking a lot of projects, because I think a lot of people don't realize the work and effort and organization that's required for the project management. She's smiling that because I know
Absolutely.
That's true. And also, maybe if you're working clients, so we'll go dive into that. And obviously, more deeper stuff.
Yes.
So, for anybody tuning in, Nysa, can we get a little bit of background about who you are and what Nysa is?
Yes, of course. So I grew up in a small town. I moved out to LA right after high school to go to college. I went to FITM, which is a private fashion college, because I always knew that I wanted to be in the fashion industry. And oddly enough, I was accepted to that college the beginning of my junior year of high school. So it was like I knew where I wanted to go. I knew what I wanted to do. And what career field, I don't know. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I knew that was the industry that I wanted to be in. Fast forward in college, I, through a friend of a friend, got connected into celebrity assisting, which was not a field I thought I was going to go into, but I am so grateful for it. It opened up a lot of doors for me, and I learned a lot of valuable things, and that's where I learned that working very closely with somebody of such high power or in high influence, you learn a lot. So I went on to work for other corporations because I thought after you graduate college, you should be a corporate girl. I really wanted to be a corporate girl.
I could see you doing that too.
No, little did I know. Yeah, so I went on and had a lot of doors had opened, and I'm very fortunate and blessed to have landed the positions that I did with the companies that I did, and I'm very grateful for them because I learned a lot, which all taught me how to run my own, like things that I wanted to do in my own company, things that I didn't want to do in my own company, things that I would do differently. But I never imagined I would own my own company, so it all just kind of happened. I was helping run another company, decided to step away from that because I thought I wanted to do real estate, which, by the way, I still do real estate. So I'm like a project manager of all things.
Nice.
So I thought I wanted to do like fully pursue a career in real estate. Little did I know I had a lot of like old clients, friends, other entrepreneurs asking me for their help still with their company. And a lot of what I do is project management for private label, white label. So it's helping kind of build brands, so to speak, through apparel and merchandise.
Nice.
And so I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I'll help you. I'll help you. And what's fascinating enough is that it's the people around you or that see you most who will believe in you the most. Because I had no desire to start
Really?
Nysa whatsoever.
So they saw it before
yeah,
you
I
did.
didn't think about it. And it was like one day, it was like, no, you're going to start your own company and, we're going to get this done right now. And a previous employee that had worked for me, I was telling her all these people were coming and she's like, oh my gosh, your company name is Nysa. Like Anyssa. And I was like, wait, I like that. That's cute because my nieces call me Auntie Nysa.
Oh, okay.
So it was
that's
cute.
cute.
It resonated with me.
Yeah.
She literally that day created my logo and was like, okay, this is what you're
Wow.
doing. Yeah. So I was like, okay, like we're doing this, and then at home, my partner was like, okay, like we're getting your LLC started now. We're doing the thing. So I'm like, okay, like we are really doing this. And I think part of me was a little scared or just didn't want the responsibility anymore of having my own, like I was like, I'll just, this will be a better route for me, real estate. But it's funny that when God has a different plan for you, how things just line up.
Yeah.
And Nysa was born in February of 2023.
Nice.
And in the first year, we broke 6 figures
Love that.
with zero marketing.
Love that.
Which was insane. And it was all word of mouth and friends or friends of a friends or people that were like, hey, I heard you can help me with this. And it was wild. I mean, I was like biting off more than I could chew
Right.
sometimes and just trying to get everything done. It was so good. I am so grateful. I'm so blessed. So fast forward now, we are 2 years old, right? Yeah, no, we're just a year old.
A year and
a half.
I would
Yeah,
say.
almost 2 years old. And we've expanded more on our private label, white label services. I really did a deep dive on finding new factories and vendors to partner with to make sure that my clients have the best, to make sure I'm able to offer more options. The only thing that I haven't done yet, which I probably should inquire your services,
probably gonna
is
tell
on
me
my
this. Oh my
social
gosh, I
media.
know.
I am the worst at social media. Look, I
You've
am
actually
great.
gotten very active on it recently.
I am great at a lot of things. Social media is not one of them. I take too long to do it. And so I'm like, all right, I'm putting this on the back of my list. Well, the list piles up and I don't always get to it.
It takes time too.
Yeah. So I do need to put more out because I have done a lot of great things. Like, I've recently done a custom cut and sew athletic apparel clothing
Wow.
line that is now being sold in Tiki Girl, which is a
Wow.
local shop. So there are amazing things that can be done. So I need to just be more open about it.
Yeah. I think you'll get there eventually. I mean, it does take time. I mean, to me, it's just even amazing that some people might look at it like, oh, well, your business is good because you had already had all these connections. But what they probably didn't know is that you have harnessed and built those trust with the skill. You can't
Yeah.
just be a trustworthy person. You also have
Yeah.
to have the skill set
Yeah,
to be
exactly.
qualified for that, right? Like,
Yeah.
like someone
And know how to build relationships,
Exactly.
quality
Absolutely.
relationships. And I think that's what I have with my clients is quality relationships. I care about their brand. I care about the quality that I produce for them. And I want them to be happy and successful at the end of the day. So whatever I need to do so, then that's what I will do and put all of it. I always look at it as like, what if this were yours? What if this were your money? You would want somebody to take care of it with love and respect.
I feel the same way working with clients, especially when they when they have me take on a brand. I usually do more than what I offer as a deliverable.
Yeah.
But it's because like I always see myself like, hey, if this was my brand, how would I take it?
Absolutely.
Or what options would I ask?
Absolutely.
And I always try to give more than what I can get, just because I feel that's what they deserve, and
Totally.
I see the vision for them. I love seeing shit being built, so I'm just like, all right, this is what you can do.
And seeing people succeed, like nothing makes
that.
me happier than to see my clients look at their items with their brand on it, their name.
Absolutely.
Like they light up. It's so cool because it's something they created, and I am just like a part of that journey for them.
Yeah.
So
would you say
amazing.
that project management or this process has been molded into you before while you were working corporate structure or even school?
Yes. I've always been very organized. I've always been. I love a good to-do list. I love to like structure things.
I got okay.
Yeah, like
that's a curious
that
question
for me. I think has always come second nature or first nature. However would you say it? First nature, second nature,
First
whatever
nature.
it may be. Yeah, first nature. So I think, yes, those have been ingrained in me. I did learn a lot of processes along the way and throughout my career. So I think I took pieces of every aspect in every line of or work that I was in and kind of built this to where I am now.
Okay, so this is a question. This is why I wanted you on the podcast also. It's because for me recently, I didn't realize that I had this knack to organize and structure things.
Yeah.
Right? I love like creating systems and
Yes.
creating formulas, making things easier so that, if we have the
Working
next
smarter, not harder.
Yes. For me, it felt like a puzzle.
Yeah.
Right? Like even when I was working a retail sales job, right? All of my processes, I included some sort of like data or like systems. Like, hey, this is what I would do from day to day.
Yeah.
So like I looked at it as just like a math problem.
Totally.
It's like 1 + 1 = 2. This is my one. This is my other one, and this is what I get.
And that's where you get to the final result. Yes.
Yeah, but also I also looked at it as a way to like move without clutter.
Yes.
Because I feel like if I have so much clutter around me, I start wondering like, what's going on? I get kind of anxious.
It totally makes you anxious. Like, and that's what I wanted to bring to my clients is take out that anxious part. A lot of people that come to me, their brand isn't solely a clothing line, but I get them apparel or merchandise or whatever it may be. I mean, I've done so many different things. Even if it's just a banner for them, they don't want to have to deal with that. To them, it's like, another thing that they have to do. So they come to me, they tell me what they want, I get it done. And there we go. It takes the stress away from them.
Yes.
And that's what I wanted to do is help alleviate, some of the non-needed stress that sometimes business owners or founders have.
Yeah. And I get that process too, working here with A+ branding. I've seen the processes that's required from customers that isn't acquired successfully.
Yes.
So it's like I wonder what's going on their end. And then now we might have to chase them even more, and usually the salespeople out here or the production team has to do a little bit more in order to acquire that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always making it more convenient and easier for the customer.
Convenience is easier. It's usually what sells.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's why Amazon does so well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I gotta ask. So like for projects like you, I know you said you've done a lot of merchandising and basically getting them materials for branding materials. What kind of projects and roles have you taken on in your project management agency?
We do a lot of different things. I have clients from all walks of industries, and that come to me for various needs. Some want to build an entire, from scratch clothing line, and that is their brand. Some need just like T-shirts or sweaters or hoodies or, whatever it may be. I've had people come to me for athletic apparel. I've worked with a lot of like gyms and other like martial arts places. I've worked with a lot of cannabis companies. I've worked with a lot of just founders and CEOs who need, various different branded material for their companies. There really is no shortage of what I can do or what I have access to, which is what I've established over the course of some time is relationships with factories overseas and local. So I've really tried to build this system where I'm able to offer a lot. And if if I don't have a factory at the moment that has it, I get connected with one. And I think that's the importance of relationship building. When you do good work with and for people, they will introduce you, and then you're able to build new relationships and new doors get open. So I think it is all over the place. And I've also been recently brought on as like a retainer project manager. So I typically tend to take on private label, white label, and have recently taken on some retainers. There's different things that corporations and or startup companies need to oversee, and they've got a lot going on. So some of them will bring me on to kind of oversee these big scale projects with, big scale clients. So it really is, there is no shortage of, what Nysa could do or can get for
Do
somebody.
you ever kind of like hesitate, like, oh, can we do this? I mean, I imagine, someone might have some crazy ideas,
I
right?
feel like I don't, and that's the problem.
Love that.
I'm like, I can do this. I will do this for you.
I figured.
And it's only recently that I've like, and I make it happen. I want to say 99% of the time. There has been recently a client that we've been working on a project for her. It's a custom game, and I have gone through probably 4 different factories, but I am so determined to get this done for her that I'm like, we're going to make it happen. And you do. And sometimes they take, a long time. Sometimes they're super quick. But I think it's most important is having that open communication and transparency with your client. They appreciate that, if you run into hiccups, because at first my company was not running into any hiccup. There was nothing. So I was like, this is great. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And then it does. Sometimes you do run into hiccups, and it's all about navigating through those changes and finding solutions and being transparent with your client, and that helps keep the relationship built.
Yeah, I mean, I also definitely see that you're a resourceful person, and top of that with a determined mindset. I mean, you're not in it for the money. You just genuinely want to see their brand grow.
Yes.
And you want to see them win, and that comes with your personality as well, right?
Yeah, and no, and I love that you mentioned that, because the money is not it for me. Sometimes I've taken a loss just to make sure a client was satisfied if it were an issue on our end, and that just shows that we care. We really care about the work that we put into projects for every single client, whether they're coming and wanting 50 items or whether they're coming and wanting 50,000 items. So
Okay, so real question, right?
Yes.
Obviously, you have a lot of things that you have to do. How do you go about structuring all these projects?
Oh, that's so good. Well, I use platforms. I love Monday.com.
I love Monday.com too. I think that's
I
why we
really love
connected.
Monday.com. Yeah. But I also, too, am an old-fashioned, like, Post-it and paper. I have, like, whiteboards with Post-its on it. I organize by priority. Some clients want their things and need it quickly, so those become more larger priority, and they, obviously pay so to have it. And I just try and touch every little thing every day. Like I try to make sure I'm on top of whatever is happening within my company, and whatever project at every step of the way. I do have help, which is nice, but I still oversee the kind of like day in, day out. So
How does that look if you have help? Like, does that mean you're outsourcing work? Do you have people working for you already as an employee?
yeah,
or more
I do
contracted?
have some people working for me, helping on the sourcing end, because a lot of the bulk work that gets done within the company is sourcing, going back and forth, negotiating, finding the right thing, getting all the measurements. Like that is a lot of back and forth, and you can waste. And I've already done it. You can waste a lot of money if you don't ask the right questions, if you don't go through the right processes, the right steps. So. I did need to bring, with the scope of clients and stuff that we have, I did have to bring in some help. So,
No, I imagine because, like I said, working with my agency and then here at A Plus Branding, I've seen the amount of work, the tedious work that's
yes.
required to have usually ends up with the communication,
Yeah.
the approvals or making things were properly assigned or just having like you
Totally.
mentioned the measurements.
Yeah.
So it can get a little cluttered,
Very much.
But yeah,
so.
no, I'm glad you shared that because a lot of people don't realize to work with that. But
Yes.
let's say people who are in it, they get overwhelmed, right, with multiple projects. Let's just say in here, for example, maybe they're just doing production, overseeing all the work that's going in.
Yeah.
How do you stay level-headed with the amount of projects that you have to take on?
I think touching it every single day,
Touching
like just
everything, yeah.
finding where it's at, the status of the project. So at least if I know where every project is at, I know what's pending and I know where I need to jump in, or where I'm holding up the process or who is holding up the process and what answers I need to go find. So I think it's kind of just staying on top of that. And I just naturally like to take on a lot and I think can take on a lot. Like my brain is always going. I think at home they're like, I don't know how you do it. Like you literally are like juggling 27 balls in the air at one time.
I feel that.
So it's a learned behavior over time, and you learn how to manage it, and then you just prioritize with what's most important at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of people don't have systems in place.
Yeah.
Right. So would you say for you, one of your system is to look up like the daily task, like where is it at?
Yes,
Check the
just check the
statuses.
status of the project. I think that for me, and then I come up with like, okay, what is next to do within this project? Where is the holdup? What is next to be done? And then divvy out tasks from there.
Okay. So you kind of game plan. Have you ever come across where you might have missed something and you realize, oh shit, that deadline was sooner than I thought, and how did you go about that?
I'm trying to think. I try to stay
Like, no, it's
so
never
on
happened.
top. I'm sure it has because things slip through the cracks all the time. I think in terms of like maybe needing to like ship something out, I'm like, oh my goodness, like we forgot to ship this out. We need to ship
Yes.
this out, because then that requires me to go to UPS and, that's another ball game. So yeah, no, but I think communication is huge for me. So I know that I need to communicate, every so often with my clients,
Something
even if
happens,
their
right?
project is like in production. Like if it's been 2 weeks since I've talked to you, I'm just gonna let you know, hey, just touching base, your project is still in production, And sometimes clients will beat me to the punch, like, hey, what's happening? And I'm like,
Yes.
hey, you're on my list.
Oh, I love
like,
trying to beat the clients first.
yes, yeah. I'm
hey,
always
this is
like,
where everything
damn.
is.
I hate when they beat me to the punch because I'm like, oh, I'm on it.
Am I
promise.
losing?
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm here. We're on it.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, because I think with working with the projects, sometimes we come across faults.
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily know everything, right? And sometimes we don't. Like for me, usually if I find a little fault,
Yeah.
I'll start questioning what steps did we miss?
Yes,
Right? Because I have a
yeah.
system in place, and if someone misses that step, then I'll start to ask, oh, is that step not good enough?
Yeah.
Then I'll add another step or something to
Or you
filter that.
pivot. You pivot that step because, I think
Maybe it's not a good idea, right?
owning your own company, you're learning something, or being a founder, you're learning something new all the time, So you almost have to be humble enough to be like, okay, I wouldn't do that way again. And this is how I would do it,
Yes.
the next time, and it doesn't mean you failed. I mean, sure, you can call it like a failure. And I think failures
sure.
are good. Failures teach you
Yeah,
lessons.
no, absolutely. You have to go
valuable
through it.
lessons on how to create better systems and how to level up in your business. You have to go through them.
Yes. I also believe it's meant to expose you so that you can cover it.
Yes.
Right? You're only going to be exposed to things that you don't know that you need to cover.
Yes, yeah. And it's just new things you had to learn.
Do you write these down? Like, how do you come up with your processes or steps to make sure that, hey, nothing falls through or everything is efficient?
Right now, I'm like my head. I'm like, I
Okay.
just know the process that I take or that I need to take or the questions I
Right.
need to answer. But that has been, when you hand off somebody to do something, there is like a process and a step. And I tried to create like a one sheet of like,
Okay.
this is the process of which we go about. But every project is different
For
too.
sure,
Every
absolutely.
project sometimes will need us to tweak those.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So.
For me, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. When I see something, I'm like, I can make a step here. Then I'll overcomplicate and say, what if I could also use this for a similar,
Yeah.
job? I'm like, okay. Then now I'm stuck there for another hour. I'm like, I gotta
Yeah, right?
take a
You
step back.
like
Yeah,
get in your own head about it.
it's so bad sometimes, but it's also helped me out a lot because I know what processes work and what doesn't, whether it's
Yeah.
communication or just executing the task or finding out what is needed before we move forward.
Absolutely,
Well,
absolutely.
yeah,
I
there's
think
that.
communication is key too, because
That's
I
also-
am
that's
this
missing a lot.
middleman between a client who is giving me money to, take to a factory, and so if the factory messes up, that's on me, and sometimes our factories don't pan out to be as great as we thought they were, or we have to
happens.
shift and find a new one. So
sure.
I think communicating solutions. I don't like to come with a problem.
Yes.
I will never come to somebody with a
I
problem. I will let you know what may have happened if you want to know.
Yes.
But then here's the
love that.
solution. This is what we're going to do
Yes.
about it. This is how we're going to help you.
Yeah.
Because then it keeps everybody happy,
I also don't, for me, I mean, I've worked with many people
Yeah.
that tend to find a problem for every solution. It's like there's always going to be problems everywhere.
Always.
So
Always.
like for me, I also take pride in trying to look for the solution. What's the solution to this?
Yes,
Cool. We see
yeah.
the problem and acknowledge it. But like
Because you come about a problem differently. If you come about a problem stress and this and that, you're focusing on something you can't control.
Yes.
But what you can control are the ways that you can go about fixing it,
Maneuvering it,
or
absolutely.
changing it so it doesn't happen
Yes,
again.
exactly.
So that's where I like to stay. And I think that's what has helped me in my own company is like, okay, look at the glass half
Yes.
full. It could have been a lot worse.
More
This
optimistic.
happened. Yeah, very much more. You have to be optimistic. If you are like a Debbie Downer, all the time, this was not the field for you,
it definitely gets to me too sometimes, we're just like,
Absolutely. We're human.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think you allow yourself to take that moment and be like, oh, that sucked.
Yeah.
That sucked. That hurt. I'm disappointed in myself for that. But the comeback is going to be better than the setback.
I'll soak it in for the whole day.
Yeah. Oh, you will? Charles, get up. I'm going to call you and be like, I hope you are not still crying over this.
I'll go to the gym or something, or
Yeah, you do your you do
something
something to shift the
energy for sure.
Yeah. Sorry. Oh my God, this is so annoying. I feel like an eyelash. Okay, we're good.
Is it the aircraft or the air or?
No, I don't know what was happening. I just felt one. Okay, here we go. We're back.
Okay, we're back. Okay, all right. So, did you want to announce your announcement on this since we're kind of on the break?
No, I mean I don't have
Okay, cool.
any
No
major
worries.
ones right now.
Gotcha. No worries. That's
Yeah.
fine. All right. So, speaking of communication with clients, right? There's obviously clients who may have different expectations or standards, or they don't know their boundaries, right? How do you go about, creating that relationship with the clients, especially when it comes down to creating boundaries or trying to create expectations for yourself?
Yeah. I think it's important to set your boundary up front and let the client know that there is a process and system in place and be communicative about those steps that you take and what happens. Like, for example, I never allow a client to order without getting a sample first, and that's something that I've budged on before in the past and ended up, it was awful, backfiring. So now it's like I am very open and communicative on this is the boundary. You have to get the sample. And yes, it may cost a bit upfront or a little more than, an added expense, but trust me, it will save you more money in the long run, and it'll save this relationship that we have here because you'll know exactly what to expect when you hand over money for a larger order.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to establish those boundaries within your company, set forth. I think allowing a client to establish the boundaries is like they don't know your company, they don't know the process in which things happen. So I think it's best to establish those for them and be communicative about
Yeah.
it.
I also think that if you don't have the boundaries, what typically happens is you become more at fault if anything worse happens.
Yes,
Because they won't
absolutely.
know what's going on or where the expectation has been.
Yes, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
a
I
lot.
always like to communicate clear expectations. Like,
Absolutely.
this is what will happen. This is what will go on. And sometimes, like, the truth is not really what they want to hear. But at least I was honest with them of like, hey, this is not going to look good or not going to pan out like how, you wanted it. We may have to take these other steps. So,
A lot of the clients or a lot of the systems that I have now for my past clients and who I've worked with today, I typically have these processes because I realized, wow, I don't want to go through that headache again when I posted something for them. Oh, Charles, we actually don't like that style of posting. Oh, okay. So like now I have to reverse backwards that and go to my
yeah.
editors and say, hey, I actually need like this. Oh, well, you need, in order for you to make that revision, you have to make this extra payment. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not going to work either.
Yeah,
So,
unclear boundaries will cost you more money, and
for
unclear
sure.
expectations will definitely cost you more
Yes,
money.
absolutely.
So,
So having those for sure definitely
and
sets
you
the tone.
learn, you learn every single time. I mean, it was a big learning curve for me, and yeah, of course, sometimes I needed to bite the bullet because I was like, ooh, I didn't set these clear expectations. I didn't set these clear boundaries, so this is my fault. So now I know what to do differently with somebody new. So because I never want to be like, well, it's your fault. Like, no, this is your company that they came to for help, and it's your reputation on the line at the end of the day. So
It's true. It's true. Yeah, and that's a big part as well that I've had to learn. Sometimes I feel I understand that it's my client's fault for not giving me the stuff I need at a certain deadline.
yeah,
And
but
now they're
but
blaming
in
me
the
for
company,
saying,
the client is always
I
right, and
know,
it's your fault.
absolutely. But then I realized, okay, cool. Well, we need to set those proper expectations
Yeah.
that we need to have this a certain date
Yeah.
by if you want it by this date.
Yeah. And thankfully, I'm so blessed to have incredible clients. Like, everybody that I've worked with has been nothing short of like respectful and thankful and amazing. And sure, we may have run to hiccups on the road within production, but we've
You-
come out on the other side,
You
you know?
communicate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've communicated, I found solutions, came up with different ways we could do things, and we still hold great relationships. And because relationships are important to
Yeah,
me, are
absolutely.
really, really important
Same
to me.
here,
I
same here.
never want to have any bad blood in business
I hate burning bridges.
or life, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that. But yeah, no, I think a lot of the stuff that we talk about can be very applicable to a lot of people in marketing or anybody in, production or project fulfillment, right?
Yes.
So like a lot of the stuff in here, this is why I wanted to bring it up because I know there's a lot of people out there that are in working with clients or working for a company or working for a project that they understand that requires processes to acquire. So I think
Yeah.
you're definitely giving it an oversight to
Yeah.
how we can approach this differently.
And I think my best advice would be like the process is going to continuously change, and that's okay. I think some
Love that, too.
people can't handle when it's like, well, this is the process and this is how it's always worked.
used to be
But
like
what
that.
always worked, for somebody, one person at one period of time is not going to work for the next, in a new time. So I think you just have to get comfortable with change and with shifting and with kind of going with the flow.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to kind of anticipate possibilities of, mess ups and then act accordingly.
Yes.
It's how you respond, not how you react.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
love
always
that.
think about it that way as well because I hate feeling like I'm a victim of life. I always
yeah, no.
and I think this is probably why you're in this role because you've always hated feeling like you don't have control of your life.
Yeah.
So in essence, he probably directed towards this direction.
Yeah. And I think
Would-
I
would
was
you say the
raised
same?
at a young
Okay.
age that like my mom is like, and I was always told you can be whatever
Mm-hmm.
you want. You can have whatever you want in this world. You just have to be willing to work really, really hard for
Yes.
it. And that gets you out of a victim mentality because I have the power to kind of create, what I want out of life and take it how it so may be, you
Yeah.
know? And I know that everything happens for a reason. And I'm like a big faith-based woman. Like I
Yes, you are.
truly, like me and God are very close, okay? And I truly believe that nothing that crosses your path is meant to harm you, but instead to teach you a lesson and maybe shift you into a new direction. So when those troubles come, it's like they're happening for a reason, because what's on the other side is much greater than you ever expected or you wanted for yourself.
Yeah. I always say for me, it's the stuff that's going to happen to you is meant to expose you
Yes.
to the things that you're vulnerable to, or maybe the things
Yeah.
that weren't meant for you.
Or the areas you need to grow.
Yeah,
And
areas you need to grow.
that's okay too.
I'm very stern on that idea. I don't like to allow circumstances say that, oh, well, this is this, and then, oh, well, the reason why I can't go that way is
Yeah,
because
blaming. Yeah.
for me, it's all about, cool, well, that's what life currently has to say
Yes.
that where I'm at.
Yeah.
I always say that, well, my direction of what I want is still there.
Yes.
That isn't going to stop me.
Yeah. And I always say, like, having accountability and humility are very sexy. Like, I have worked with founders, CEOs, millionaires, billionaires, celebrities, and the ones that have those two things, I'm like, that is so attractive in a human, you know, like those are the things that are like, wow, like I look up to that person, because you have this accountability to like admit that, like, hey, that didn't work out, or that was my fault, and humility to say those things, you know. And I think that's a really powerful thing. Like, people don't see that as powerful, but that is a very, very, very powerful character trait to acquire, is like, hey, no, I don't know everything, but I'm willing to try and willing to work hard and learn, you know?
I think it's a very powerful combination too, because oftentimes, you know, people want to be accountable, or maybe they are okay to being, you know, mistaken, right? But they don't want to be held accountable.
Yeah.
But if you have the two,
Yeah.
oh man, because
Oh my
I've seen a
gosh.
lot of people who don't have both, and I'm like, ooh,
Yeah. And you are weary of like doing business with that person. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
This is not going to work.
for sure. I definitely pride on those values, because that's who I want to operate myself around, especially working in a company. And then
Yeah.
for people who can't resonate with those values, it just goes for me to show that, hey, you know what? Then maybe you're not ready for this type of communication or relationship or approach to business.
Yeah.
You know?
And some people are just like that. And I think you have to take those people for who they are. You know, everybody was raised different. Everybody has different values. Everybody has different structures. And just deal with them a little differently, you know?
That's good for you. I've had to learn that recently. I've had to learn how to be more. I mean, I've always been kind.
Yeah.
But like ever since I've learned how to be more accountable, create different standards, I have this type of thing that I'm looking for, and people don't meet up to it. I wouldn't grill them.
But you're having expectations for somebody.
Yeah, you could say that. But sometimes I would, you know, like dismiss them easily. But now I've recently started tapping into, hey, you know what? Now instead of saying, oh, you didn't meet up those standards, now it's more like, okay, cool. I see that you didn't meet those standards, and whether I think you can do it or not, I'm gonna have to accept you for where you are currently. But I'm
Yeah.
not gonna make you feel like a villain or a bad person.
Yeah, yeah, and everybody's learning, everybody's growing, and having grace for people is important in whatever walk of life that they're going through, or you know, whether it be in business or personal. You just don't know. You have no idea what happens in a
You
person's
also
life,
don't
and
know
I
what's
think
going on in their life. Yeah.
yeah, and that's why I think I'm like, okay, like if I didn't do anything to hurt you, harm you, ruin your business, then you know, there must be something else going on, and I wish you well.
Yeah. I imagine you know, for your role, someone who has their own business, and I've seen you link up with a lot of powerful women recently.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool.
Thank
But I mean,
you.
I imagine in other worlds, when these other women see other women stepping up, they can be a little bit more like, oh, she thinks she's better than me and all stuff, right?
Oh, catty girls.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
Thankfully, you know, I've been put in places and spaces where I have not encountered that with these women. I mean, I've encountered it in my life before,
In general.
but with nobody that I associate with right now. And it's such a beautiful, powerful thing because everybody can win. Like, truly, everybody
I
can win.
believe
There's
so as
enough
well.
money, success, and responsibility to go around for everybody to succeed. So,
I also believe that as well, you know, but for sure, when you're around people who want you to win and who resonate with your values, it's much
Yeah.
easier than having
Absolutely.
people who are, you know, more on the less accountable side and
Yeah.
not, humble enough, and it
To
gets hard to
say.
work with them, because
Yeah.
like we're not going anywhere. You know?
No, 100%. Yeah, no. And like I said, I take on some retainer clients, and I have had some founders and CEOs that do have that approach, who sometimes abuse their power. And so I think for me, it's always just treating with respect and kindness and getting the job that they, want you to get done. And learning kind of what you don't want to do,
Yes.
like you see a reflection of like, ooh, I wouldn't ever want somebody to think of me that way. So I would react or go about this differently, a lot differently.
Yeah. There's also a part of me sometimes when clients or people just don't resonate with me the way I want to, and sometimes I want to grill them, but I have to silence those voices.
Yeah, you just gotta
And
be
bite
like,
my tongue. I've learned to bite my tongue a
Okay.
lot more. It's okay. That's where
yeah,
you're at.
because sometimes it's not, it's gonna take them learning
maybe
from
it's
their
not
own
personal, too.
mistakes. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not personal. Like you cannot take anything personal. It probably has nothing to do with you,
No.
but they're gonna learn on their own.
I agree.
So
That's something I've had to learn recently in the past, I would say 2 years, working with different organizations and
Yeah.
realizing, okay, cool, my approach may not be liked by most people, but
and that's okay.
that's okay.
Totally okay.
End of the day, we're all humans. I'm gonna treat you fairly the way you need to be treated.
Yes.
I would
I
never,
love
I would never want anybody to be, I guess, put in a life filled with bad energy and just
Yeah.
pure
No,
hatred,
I always say you treat the janitor the same as you treat the
Exactly.
CEO. Like everybody deserves the same love and respect. And it's a reflection of how you feel about yourself
For sure.
too.
For
so
sure. Yeah. Yeah. I gotta control that sometimes too. I think a lot of people, just don't have a way to gauge that. They
Yeah.
don't understand that.
yeah.
But cool.
Absolutely.
I think this is definitely a good conversation in that because oftentimes I have to have these conversations with myself.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, sometimes I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
take a minute, like step away, pray, and then
Yeah,
come back to
absolutely.
it. That's okay. You're having a human reaction right now, and that's
Definitely,
normal.
Definitely. Cool. Awesome. Well, okay. So let's pivot a little bit from Nysa.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing a lot of those insights. It's cool to see a woman like yourself, especially a woman, like running her own
Thank
shit. Come on.
you. Thank you. I appreciate
Yes,
that.
absolutely. But you've recently had started pivoting as well, doing some side projects through real estate, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
How
yes,
is that
yes.
meshing? I know you're focusing more on commercial. Is that right?
Yeah, so I work with a lot of investors
Mm-hmm.
too, within Nysa, helping them with projects. So it just kind of went hand in hand. Like sometimes they are looking to invest in other buildings, so the real estate license kind of came in handy for that. Like you already trust me with these aspects of projects for your company, and the trust kind of correlated over to investment properties, and they're building their portfolio or whatever it may be. And so that's what I really enjoy. That's that side of real estate is the commercial end because it's a different client.
For
It very
sure,
much
for
is,
sure.
The residential is great, but it is a very emotional way.
Yes.
It is a very an emotional person, and you want to be able to give that love and respect to those clients. And I just found myself like I run at such a this pace,
You do run
so
at a
it's like,
fast speed.
okay, I have a lot of love and respect, but through that business process, I sometimes put these boundaries to where I am very like black and white on what this process is and this and that. So commercial really allows me to do that, and I really resonated with it very well. So it just kind of went hand in hand.
I think that's it's a very great strategic move. Because
Thank you.
you're also like the way you've talked about Nysa is that you're building brands. So essentially,
Yes.
like if you're helping build brands, you can incorporate an aspect of, hey, like we're gonna help expand your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So
Absolutely.
now-
I love to
yeah.
see people grow. And even in real estate, like, if you're buying just an investment property, like that is seeing your assets grow. Like that you as a human are
Yeah.
growing, So it all around incorporates this aspect of allowing my clients or allowing myself to be an asset to their growth.
I love that. And I think you and I think the same when we're working with clients or just anybody in general is I always like to look at myself and say, how can I be an asset?
Yeah, absolutely. You
know?
always want to be an asset to somebody's business or
Yeah.
life, or, because then they'll come back. They'll come back for your services. So,
I also think that like it attracts the right people as well.
yes.
Whether they'll work for you or maybe the right clients. They
Yeah.
just like that you're trying to be someone who is valued.
Absolutely.
So, but cool, awesome.
I love it.
All right. Well, with everything that you're doing right now, including Nysa, and as well, I mean, you're a part of other boards as well, right? So
Yes. So I right now sit on as the vice chair for the Industry Leaders Association. They are a membership based group that helps build marketplace ministry. So you bring together a lot of powerful founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, business leaders, centered around spreading the love and light of Jesus Christ.
Love that.
That's really important to me. And I truly believe that companies who incorporate that, I used to be very shy about like, oh, okay, not everyone's a believer, but it has done so many powerful things for my life and my business. Like you want that for everybody. So I was honored to be asked to be a part of this board,
awesome.
and it's been such an exciting experience. I've met so many incredible individuals and who are all like-minded in, as a human. I think like you can run your business a different way, but I think there's principles that you have as a human in Christ that,
that you can
can't-
serve differently.
Yeah, you very much serve differently. You talk to people differently. You treat people differently. And it's just based on those core values.
I think that's awesome to have to include different approach because sometimes I'll be straight up like I've been in business mode for the last 7-8 months and I'm sometimes starting to wonder like where are my quote unquote human touches again?
Yeah, it gives you a stable foundation. Like
sure.
so many things can and that will happen. Like so many things will be falling apart around you and you're like, what is happening? And my faith gives me just that stable
Love
foundation to know that like everything's going to be okay.
I love that.
You're not working through it by yourself. And what's coming is going to be better than what may have left or what the problem is.
I recently had this interaction with my siblings where they took me to an event and that kind of pulled me back into oh shit, there's more to than just business again. Even though I knew that, but it's like when you get into this business mode, you're like grind.
Yeah.
And you want shit to happen. You want results to happen. You want to maximize
and that's
shit.
okay.
And
Like that's
fine,
okay.
right?
That's totally okay. And it's just allowing yourself not to get lost in
Yes.
it. Like taking care of
For
you.
sure, for sure.
Like how do you,
Yeah.
how do you take care of you? Make sure because you can't fill from an empty cup.
No.
So you
Oh,
always have to make sure
love
your
that.
cup is full.
Love that,
You
love
know?
that, love that.
And whatever that may be, it's different for everybody.
And I'm glad I have friends and family who are able to fill those cups too.
Yeah,
So.
I
I mean, this
love
is also
that.
one of my ways to fill my cups. Because
Yeah, you love to do
Yeah.
this. Like it's like things that you love to do. Like for me, I like to serve people. Like, how can I give back? That
that.
fills my cup. Spending time with my family, like that
Yes.
fills my cup.
Yes.
So
anyways, going back to the question before we pivot into that, the reason I asked that is because you're involved in all this stuff. I mean, I'm just curious, where do you see yourself and the company going? Like, what are you looking forward to?
that is a great question. And I have been, because it's like there's things that work right now, but then, okay, long term, how does this company, Nysa, run without a Nysa? Because I'd eventually love to
Yes.
sell it one day.
Okay.
And so I think I've been sitting and kind of marinating on that of what do we do next with Nysa? Where should we pivot? What is next? I've thought of a lot of different things, but I think I haven't decided yet. I mean, right now I love serving my clients and I love that we're running, a project management agency and specializing in white label, private label. And I do some like retainer clients that I work with, but we are still trying to figure out what is Nysa. I mean, I had no idea
you
that
literally
I
had
was
it a year
even
ago.
I had no idea that I was even going to start this thing. And then when it became a thing, I was like, oh, okay, this is a thing. What do we do with this thing? So I think it is. I am in a period of like, okay, like this is working right now. It's doing great, but there's gonna come a time where I need to pivot. I need to shift. I need to think bigger. I need to think more in order to sell this. And so what are those steps? Well, how do I take that? So I think that's what I've been sitting with a lot.
Do you think you're going to be ending up scaling you where you have multiple versions of you that are running different parts of the company?
I would love to. I would love to. I just have to make sure it makes sense. Like that makes sense, and there's business to go around.
sure.
I mean, I think there's always business to go around, but I just have to make sure it makes sense. So I think that's what I'm kind of sitting with, and I just right now I'm focusing on growth and client satisfaction.
Nice.
You know, so long term, what Nysa will be. I don't know. Maybe a private equity firm. Who knows? I don't know. Investing in other brands.
Yeah.
Who knows? But for right now, we run as a project management agency doing private label, white label, and just trying to grow that aspect of the branch.
Love that.
Yes.
Well, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I think
Thank
I had a lot of
you.
fun sharing your story, getting to know about it, and also diving deep into the project management side and client relationship side.
Yes.
I have one last question before we pivot into ending this podcast, which I think it was awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
If you can chat to your 5-year-old self, what do you think your younger self would tell you right now? Like after seeing how you are right now?
Oh my gosh, that is a great question. I would tell myself not to worry. Everything works out the way it's supposed to. I was, I'm a very type A personality, so I tend to want to control things. And I mean, transparently so still. I try to control things.
Yeah.
I think that's just in my nature. But I think my approach is different with it now. Not everything is taken so serious because it's not life or death. Like if you're not hurting anybody, like there's always a solution and everything's going to work out the way it's supposed to as long as you're doing your due diligence, because there still is work to be put in and your intentions are good, So I think that's what I would tell myself is everything is going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like relax, have fun.
Love
and
that.
just be light.
How do you think she would react to seeing how you are right now?
I would hope that she would be proud, I would hope that, and she would probably be surprised because this is not what I thought,
imagine
my
that.
life
was
would,
fashion,
would
right,
be.
at one point?
Yeah, no, I wanted to be a
you
corporate
still have-
girl in the fashion industry.
You still have the fashion thing on you.
Thank you. I wanted to be a corporate girl in the fashion. I wanted to work for somebody else, So
now you're
to
your
be
own
running,
boss.
to be running your own, thing and be in control of that, it is a lot. So I would hope she would be proud.
I hope so too. I think. I'd be proud of you. So.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so for anybody tuning in, if they want to connect with you or learn more about your agency, how can they find you?
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram. It's at Nysa_co. Correct? Yeah, at Nysa Co. We can probably put it like here
I'll
somewhere
put it
on
there
the thing.
somewhere.
Okay.
I'll put it there.
I'm telling you guys, I'm really bad with the social media. There's a link to my website there. You can
put that
connect with
there.
me via email. If you want to get in touch to work together or see what I do, I will be posting more because it, is a little bare on my Instagram. So we are working on some content. So we will get that out. And yeah, you can connect with me there.
Okay, awesome, cool. Awesome. Well, I really enjoyed having you here, Anyssa. I know we rescheduled like the third time, so I'm glad.
I know. I'm glad we
we're
finally made it here.
Made it work. So,
yes.
Excited. Hopefully, for the people that did tune in, they found some value out of this thing. Excuse me for my nasally nose if you guys were hearing me. But for everybody tuning in, thanks again. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Thank you.
Hey, voice community. Thank you so much for being a supporter of this platform. Our goal is to establish a platform where we can represent voices that empower others to be more, do more, and have more. We advocate for a message to voicing what matters. Through our platform, we dedicate our content through the voices of creators, leaders, communities, and organizations. We vocalize messages and stories representing aligning values through many people's stories. We want to provide content for others who feel like they have no voice or don't feel like they have a direction, feel lost, or need guidance. And through others' voices, we believe that everyone is deserving to pursue a lifestyle that they get to create. We appreciate any support you give to keep our platform growing. If you find value in the content we put out, you can subscribe to our channel or follow us on the podcast platform you're listening to. It really does go a long way, so we appreciate every help you can give us. Thanks again for supporting our platform. We hope to see you guys on the next episode.